Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for another update on JASMY. So a lot of things look like they're lining up in the lower time frames and the higher time frames right now for JASMY. I think everything is prepped for that next major move in the markets. I'm going to talk about what direction I'm currently looking at, what price targets I've got. Let's waste no time and dive right into this. Before we do dive into our first charts for JASMY and look at the macro analysis, just a tiny bit of precursor information on what I'm looking at for the rest of the markets. Yesterday we briefly covered this in my Bitcoin update. But this is really what I'm seeing playing out for Bitcoin right now. We obviously had this falling wedge pattern, price target all the way up at 31,000. We hit that price target and it looks like we just exceeded 31,000 and we closed beneath the previous resistance at 31,000. So I believe this is developing as a SFP swing failure pattern, just like when we originally had a swing failure pattern and failed to break underneath the falling wedge. We then had a quick SFP, failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. We've done the same thing for Bitcoin to the upside. We've hit the bullish price target and now, in my opinion, things look like they're moving to the downside. If you want this in more detail, looking at the oscillators, there's a lot more reasons why I think Bitcoin in the immediate short term is coming back down to the downside, such as oscillator overextensions, divergences, etc. We won't dive into this in this video. In general, I think Bitcoin is pulling the markets down a little bit right now. And the altcoin market in general is definitely showing much more weakness than Bitcoin. If we're looking at the altcoin market today, it's down almost 2%. Bitcoin's down about 1.5%, and JASMY, as we know, this is a quick mover. This is down about 4% as of the time that I am recording this video. And also, just to let you know, the altcoin market closed literally right on the 200-week moving average right now. I think a sharp rejection is about to take place in this week for altcoins. So what does this mean for JASMY? Well, if we look at our first chart over on the weekly time frame, you can see we've been discussing this massive M pattern structure which has been developing on JASMY. We did have a confirmed breakdown on this on the 5th of June. You can see the price target is all the way down here at 0.0021 for JASMY. From where we are right now, this is about another 50% move to the downside. Now that definitely might sound like an absolutely brutal move, but bear with me, we'll dive into this step by step. If we are looking at this M pattern formation, like I said, you can clearly see this breakdown, and as you can see, we've bounced all the way back up to this neckline right here, and we have confirmed it as resistance. Well, at least this is what it's looking like on the weekly time frame for me. We came all the way back up to the resistance box. In fact, if I draw this resistance box up a tiny bit higher, so this is actually closing on the weekly candle bodies on around the 20th to 27th of March. You can see this is exactly where we came up to, and we closed right underneath this level. Now, another level which we have also closed just underneath, if we draw from the swing low of this most recent massive rally we've seen in JASMY up to the daily time frame candle body close high, all the way back up here around about 0.008. You can see we've more or less beautifully retested the 786 Fibonacci in the past 24 hours, and it's looking like we're moving down. Now, theoretically, we can definitely also draw the Fibonacci up to the wick up here. Really, it's whichever way you prefer to draw it in the markets. I personally prefer to draw it down to the candle body close. If you are drawing it all the way up to the wick, there is an argument to be made that JASMY could even see as high as, 0.0049. Let's just call it 0.005 before that reversal back down to the downside. This is a possibility. Like I said, this is personally how I'm drawing it, especially considering not taking Fibonacci's into consideration. We are right underneath the close that we put, which is at the top of the neckline of this M pattern formation. So this is really what I'm looking at over on the daily time frame as well. If we just clear up the chart for a second, you can see we've had some pretty harsh rejections on the long-term moving average on the daily EMA ribbon. So, I personally don't trade JASMY. It's got a little bit of a lower market cap. I know someone's going to comment, JASMY is not a low market cap, it has this market cap. I know what you're saying, but what I'm really saying is JASMY is a low market cap enough for me not to really want to trade it. There's a lot of knee-jerk reactions that happen in JASMY all the time. You could have brilliant technical analysis playing out and then boom, knee-jerk reactions are very quick to wipe out trades on JASMY. So I personally don't trade JASMY. I look at it in the higher time frames. I potentially maybe looking at it in the higher time frames to DCA as we do come down to the bear market lows. It's not something I trade, just wanted to let you know that. But nonetheless, we are right at resistance on the weekly time frame. We're at resistance on the daily time frame. We're at resistance in terms of Fibonacci's moving averages. We are at a critical level of resistance right now, and like I just briefly highlighted, like I said, If you want my thoughts on Bitcoin and the altcoin markets in a little bit more detail, I provided this in my video yesterday, Bitcoin bull market checklist. In general, I see JASMY in the lower time frames and at the higher time frames in this very, very critical retest zone right now. Obviously, if we do start pushing up above 0.005, that could be a sign that bulls could be taking back control of the market. But in general, if you're looking at the weekly time frame and you once again start seeing moves beneath 0.00429, then that is an indication in itself that we are having a beautiful retest of this M pattern neckline, and we could be getting ready to move back down to the downside. In the lower time frames as well, it doesn't just end here. Now, this is a very small signal, but nonetheless, this is something to kind of keep your eyes on as well. This is kind of like the cherry on the top of the cake, if you will, with the analysis that we've presented so far in this video. You can see, like I said, really emphasizing this is a very flat divergence right now, but nonetheless, it is a hidden bearish divergence nonetheless. What you are witnessing right now is the price action from where the MFI topped out round about here. Of course, we've drawn it to here as well because you do have highs and you have lower highs in the price action. And for the oscillator, looking at the MFI, or if you're looking at the stochastic RSI, you can also see you are making higher highs in the MFI, you are making higher highs in the stock. So this is a classic case of hidden bearish divergence. The price action is getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and the oscillator is becoming more and more overextended. This signals exhaustion in terms of the buyer side of the market. And of course, this makes sense because we have had a big reversion back up to the mean. We've had a reversion to the heartline. And if we do come over to one of our final macro charts, you can basically see this is round about the middle of this range that we've been trading in. I'm going to pull this chart back up in 1 second as we are looking at some price targets to keep your eyes on for JASMY. In terms of starting off the price target analysis, if we do come over to JASMY BTC, very simple, Fibonacci low to the high. I do currently have my eyes on this massive 1.618 down here. This is about a 64% drop on JASMY against Bitcoin. Like I said at the start of the video, I do proceed to believe the altcoins are showing a lot of weakness against Bitcoin right now. You don't believe me, that's fine. Come over to the Bitcoin dominance. Look at the Bitcoin dominance. It is absolutely tearing to the upside right now, letting you know that Bitcoin is the one that's in charge right now. If Bitcoin drops 5%, altcoins may drop 10%. Volatile cryptocurrencies like JASMY may drop a lot more. So when I'm predicting this, 65% drop for JASMY against Bitcoin, it's definitely not too crazy or far-fetched in my opinion. If we're coming over to JASMY USD price targets, what I've also got my eyes on is this 1.236 Fibonacci drop. So from where we are right now, you can see this is about a 69% drop. Now, personally, this isn't the exact price target that I've got my eyes on, because this would imply, obviously, if JASMY BTC breaks down 65%, that if JASMY USD is going to break down about 69%, and Bitcoin's only going to drop about 4 or 5%. Now, this is too shallow for Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think Bitcoin is going to be coming back down to round about the 200-week moving average, and when we do get that drop down to the 200-week moving average, about a 10-11% drop, I really do think altcoins could be in a very, very weak position, and they can show a lot of suffering against Bitcoin. So one of the price targets, one of the macro bear market price targets, which I do currently have my eyes on, is all the way down here. It's a psychological target, not particularly backed up by Fibonacci levels. This is all the way down here at 0.001. This is a 75% drop. Of course, if JASMY BTC breaks down about 65%, Bitcoin breaks down about 10% down to the 200-week moving average, you could see a huge shoot up in the Bitcoin dominance, a huge rejection on the altcoin market cap, which is currently underneath resistance on the weekly EMA ribbons, bull market support bands, underneath the 200-week moving average. I really think altcoins are setting up for the slaughter right now, and as we've previously discussed, one of the main reasons why I don't really trade JASMY is because it is extremely volatile. Sometimes altcoins will have 10% pumps and JASMY will have a 50% pump. Sometimes altcoins have 10% corrections and JASMY has a 50% correction. This is why I don't trade JASMY. JASMY is very, very volatile. It acts on relatively low liquidity. It doesn't take too much volume coming into the market to make this have absolute knee-jerk reactions. Considering how, like I said, a lot of things are lining up right now. Also, one thing I didn't even mention is the fact that the daily stochastic RSI has just come up and hit 100, and in the past 24 hours, it has capitulated bearish. Now, the last time the stochastic RSI was all the way up at 100, it hit 100 when the price was all the way up here at 0.008. We are almost half this valuation right now. The last time the stock was this extended, we saw a 60% drop. And, you know, once again, this is like I'm saying, I really do think that JASMY can absolutely underperform Bitcoin dramatically. This is what I'm seeing in JASMY BTC. This is really what I'm seeing in the JASMY USD pair. In the lower time frames, we're at resistance. In the higher time frames, we're at resistance. We have just had a big impulse to the upside. And with these oscillators, they're telling me buyers are getting exhausted, and the technical analysis is telling me we are coming down to these price targets between round about 0.0013 and potentially as low as 0.001. This 0.001/0.0013 price target would also beautifully line up with this picture perfect 5-wave Elliott wave correction to the downside. We obviously did have that absolute melt to the downside. As you know, JASMY has seen much higher price targets in its previous lifetime. It basically had a 99% drop, had a beautiful ABC correction back up to the upside, and since then, when we topped out around about 35 cents, we have been seeing this 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is what I think is coming down to the final 5-wave correction to the downside. Could JASMY be something that I am interested to DCA in for the next cycle? It is definitely a possibility. We'll need to take things one price target at a time. There's obviously a lot of altcoins out there. There's a lot of projects where you can make money on. The reason why I cover JASMY and analyze JASMY is not necessarily because I like it from a fundamental perspective, but because of the fact that it is very undeniable that when JASMY has bounces and when it has corrections, these moves are extremely volatile. We've seen bear market bounces in JASMY where we've literally seen 4,300% impulses to the upside in a bear market. So once again, you know, I'm not one of these YouTubers that is trying to, you know, shill my thoughts onto you. I'm not one of these YouTubers that is saying, you know, DCA every single dip, every altcoin is going to go to the moon. Altcoins have amazing utility. You should buy altcoins and hold them for the rest of your life. No, I'm going to keep things very real with you. I'm not the biggest fan of JASMY from a fundamental perspective, but from a pumpamental perspective, if we do come down to the bear market lows and altcoins are ready to rally, even if I'm not a huge fan of the JASMY ecosystem, even if I'm not a big fan of the JASMY project after reading the white paper, it doesn't mean that I won't be buying this, because as you can clearly see, if you do time a accurate DCA on JASMY as it bottoms, even if it doesn't reach its all-time highs, it doesn't need to for you to make absolutely insane knee-jerk reaction gains back up to the upside. So these are really my thoughts on JASMY. Some people have asked me, why do I cover JASMY, etc. Is it something that I'm going to be hodling into the next cycle? No, it's not. It's really something that I plan on accumulating as I believe altcoins are ready to bottom. I want to see it take a huge tear to the upside, and then I'll be taking profits. Those are my honest thoughts on the markets. Once again, when it comes to all altcoins, I'm not one of these people that recommends hodling altcoins for years and years and years. I'm personally here to make money. I'm not here for JASMY's technology. I'm here for when I believe that it's about to bottom and it's going to make another impulse, 4,000, 5,000% impulse to the upside. That's what I'm trying to capture. That is the reason why we're looking at JASMY and hoping that when it does come down for this final correction, we can scoop up some cheap coins, watch that major impulse to the upside, and then pivot our profits into cryptocurrencies which I believe in the long term, such as Bitcoin. This is why I cover it. Just wanted to let you know, just wanted to be transparent with the reasons why I am looking at JASMY at this moment in time. So for today, my friends, that's all I've got. As always, if you do enjoy my content, make sure to let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment, share the videos with your friends. If you want to further support the channel, feel free to click the join button and become a member today. Follow me over on Twitter at 618_cowboy. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.